The power of arts and entertainment to shape us is just undeniable, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's immense.
Think about it. From the biggest blockbuster that everyone's talking about to, that latest viral TikTok trend that seems to be absolutely everywhere. What we consume daily, it influences our values, our emotions, even like our aspirations.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack this though, because despite this incredible, almost commanding influence, there's often this persistent, maybe nagging feeling that something deeper is missing, like a profound spiritual void.
And that's exactly the core problem we're diving into today. Our modern creative systems, well, sadly, they often prioritize profit margins and virality over true purpose or human well-being or even transcendence.
Right, profit over purpose.
Exactly. What we're witnessing is, I think, a real crisis of meaning in creative content. It's like we've traded the rich narrative of a symphony for the catchy but, fleeting hook of a 15-second jingle.
That's a good way to put it.
Artistic expression, it gets reduced to little more than aesthetic packaging. It's designed for immediate consumption, but often devoid of lasting substance.
So it looks good, sounds good, but doesn't stick.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this isn't just a creative choice, it's systemic. It leads to burnout for artists and just superficial stimulation for us, the audience.
Yeah.
What's absolutely crucial to remember here is that media production isn't just neutral background noise. It's always pushing us one way or another. It's never neutral.
And that's precisely why this deep dive is so vital for you today. We're exploring Brian C. Alston's Abundant Arts and Entertainment. It's a book that lays out a really powerful roadmap for, a better way forward. The author draws inspiration from what he calls kingdom principles and also this idea of exponential thinking you find in Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler's work, like abundance and bold.
Right, that abundance mindset.
Exactly. Yeah. So our mission here isn't just about making more money, though that can be part of it, but really transforming creative sectors so that abundance, it extends beyond just financial success to include emotional well-being, spiritual integrity, real social impact, and, a lasting legacy.
That's a much richer definition of abundance.
Totally. So let's dive right into the heart of this problem then. What does this spiritual void in modern media actually feel like? You mentioned it, but the author talks about being bombarded with content that shapes us but leaves us without spiritual anchoring. How does that show up day to day?
Well, it shows up as that intense stimulation you mentioned, but without any real sustenance.
Right, like junk food for the soul.
Kind of, yeah. Think about it. Characters often lack any real moral clarity. Plots frequently celebrate dysfunction, and reality shows, they seem to glorify exploitation just for entertainment.
Definitely see that.
There's a distinct absence of content that really speaks to the deeper parts of our being. And what's truly fascinating here is how that connects to the broader crisis of meaning. Well, when artistic expression becomes just aesthetic packaging, like we said, artists end up creating songs just for streams, or films just for viral trends, rather than for true depth.
So the why gets lost.
Exactly. Meaning becomes transactional. It gets tethered to external validation, likes, views, whatever, rather than being rooted in a true vocation or a calling. And the irony is this crisis is happening precisely when there's this growing hunger among audiences for content that actually restores rather than degrades.
So people are actually looking for something more.
I think so. People seem fatigued by shock value storytelling. They're actively seeking narratives that offer hope, maybe healing, and genuine depth.
Okay, and what about the hidden cost for the artists themselves? The source material mentions many artists suffering from depression, addiction, burnout. Is this new, or has the starving artist thing always had this darker side? What makes today different?
That's a great question. And it's certainly not entirely new. The starving artist trope has often romanticized suffering, hasn't it? As if pain somehow guarantees authenticity.
Yeah, that whole tortured genius idea.
Right. But the modern crisis feels different because the systems themselves have become hyper-efficient at, extracting maximum value from creators while offering minimal control or security in return.
So it's industrialized scarcity.
You could say that. This scarcity isn't just material lack of money, it's emotional too. It leaves countless gifted individuals feeling disillusioned or completely burned out. And that's a stark indictment of a system that kind of extracts talent without nurturing the human spirit behind it.
That makes sense. So what does this all mean for redefining creativity then? It sounds like it requires a pretty radical paradigm shift, moving from just passive consumption to purpose-driven creation.
Precisely. It reframes artists not as mere cogs in a machine, but as, let's say, cultural architects, people with a profound mission.
So instead of asking what will go viral, the question becomes what is truly worth making?
Exactly. What has lasting value, and how does this shift impact us, the audience? You asked that before.
Yeah, what does it mean for us?
Well, for you, the audience, this shift encourages a crucial kind of discernment. It leads you to ask, what am I feeding my soul? It's about creating a two-way channel of transformation, not just one-way entertainment.
Okay.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about leveraging creativity for genuine healing, for deep justice, and what the author calls kingdom impact.
Kingdom impact. Tell me more about that.
Well, art has this ancient, profound power to heal, right?
Yeah.
Think about therapeutic songwriting or visual storytelling for trauma recovery, or even dance that helps process pain.
Sure. Art therapy.
Right. And it's also a powerful ally for justice, from, civil rights anthems that fueled movements to documentary exposés that reveal injustice and actually catalyze change.
Okay.
What's important here is that kingdom impact isn't just confined to explicitly religious spaces.
Oh, okay.
It flourishes in secular settings too. Studios, theaters, classrooms, whenever values like dignity, generosity, and stewardship are embedded right into the creative process itself.
Got it. So it's about the values driving the creation wherever it happens.
Exactly. A prime example, which actually redefined faith-based storytelling, is The Chosen.
Right. You mentioned that. Huge success.
Huge. It's high quality, purpose-driven, and it leveraged decentralized funding and global distribution to incredible effect.
Yeah.
It shows it can be done.
That's a really powerful vision. Okay, so let's dig into the foundational principles that actually make this kind of kingdom creativity possible. Principle 1 seems to be about rethinking arts through the lens of abundance.
Yeah.
Now, the entertainment industry, as you said, has this long history of exploitation and scarcity. How does the author suggest we break free from that legacy?
He argues there's a moral imperative to redesign these creative industries. It's not just tinkering around the edges. It requires a deep structural transformation.
Okay.
Moving the primary question from what will sell to what will heal, reveal, and uplift.
That's a big shift.
It is. And this is where those abundance principles from Diamandis and Kotler become so relevant.
Right, you mentioned those. How do they apply here?
Okay, first there's exponential growth. Think about it. The barrier to entry has just crumbled, hasn't it? It used to cost millions for studio equipment. Now you have a smartphone in your pocket.
True. Anyone can be a creator now, technically.
Almost anyone can make a film or record music, collapsing barriers that existed just a decade ago. That's a profound shift. It enables creators in ways we couldn't have imagined.
Okay, so democratization through tech. What else?
Then there's DIY innovation. This empowers independent creators and collectives, leading to this explosion of diverse voices outside the traditional gatekeepers.
Right, less reliance on the big studios or labels.
Exactly. And then techno-philanthropy. This is about deliberately using powerful tools, think AI, AR, VR, blockchain, not just to entertain or make money, but to actively uplift humanity.
How would that work? Like AI for good?
Maybe creating AI that composes therapeutic music, or VR experiences that foster deep empathy between different groups, instead of just, developing new games, using tech for upliftment, not manipulation. But most importantly, underlying all this is a critical shift in mindset. Moving from that ingrained sense of lack to one of genuine abundance.
Okay, the mindset shift seems key.
It is. And this naturally leads to a transition for artists themselves.
Yeah.
Moving away from just fame-seeking towards what the author calls soul stewardship.
Soul stewardship. What does that mean practically?
It means success isn't measured just by fame or fortune, but by faithfulness to your calling, to your purpose.
Yeah.
And your identity is rooted in, say, divine affirmation or inner conviction, not just public validation or the endless hustle of self-promotion.
I completely grasp that shift in mindset. But how does an artist actually maintain that focus on soul stewardship when the systems themselves still seem so heavily geared towards fame-seeking and viral trends? It sounds like a real uphill battle.
Oh, it definitely can feel like it, and that's a really valid concern.
Yeah.
That's why the book emphasizes this isn't just about individual artists changing their own approach in isolation. Mm-hmm. It's about building new systems, new communities, new ways of funding and distributing art that actually support this abundance mindset.
So creating alternatives.
Exactly. Creating pockets of resilience, you could say, and eventually scaling them. Allowing artists to find their true audience and purpose without having to succumb to all the pressures of the old system.
Okay, building new structures. And this reframing of abundance, it naturally leads us to rethink the very systems we operate within what the author calls kingdom systems thinking.
Right.
At its core, this seems to mean understanding the biblical foundations for creativity. I mean, the Bible opens not with theology, but with a powerful act of creation. In the beginning, God created, Genesis 1.1. How does that foundational truth inform a kingdom approach to creativity?
Well, that's just a profound starting point, isn't it? It immediately establishes God as the first creator. It makes creativity itself a sacred impulse, an act of both worship and witness, really.
So creativity is inherently spiritual.
In this view, yes. And what's really impactful here is that biblical creativity is holistic. It doesn't separate aesthetics from ethics or beauty from justice. It integrates them.
Okay. How does Genesis serve as a blueprint then?
Well, if we elaborate on God as the first creator, Genesis really does serve as a profound creative blueprint. Each act of divine creation is punctuated by that phrase, and God saw that it was good.
Right. It was good.
That phrase becomes a kind of metric for divine creation. It prompts us to ask, does this work bring light? Does it cultivate beauty, order, justice? Does it align with goodness?
A quality check beyond just does it sell?
Exactly. The Genesis account also highlights the immense power of words. God spoke, and the universe came into being, and also the importance of rest, Sabbath principles, for sustainable creation, not just endless hustle.
Rest is part of the creative process.
Absolutely. And Dr. Miles Monroe, he profoundly articulated that what he called kingdom dominion is never about imposing control. That's a misconception.
Okay, so what is it then?
It's a subtle but powerful shift in mindset. Seeing art as a strategic sphere where values like dignity, generosity, justice can just naturally permeate, influencing culture simply by being excellent and authentic.
Influence, not control.
Precisely. So for creatives, this means seeing the arts as a strategic domain of influence to be claimed and cultivated. It requires excellence, sure, but it's sustained through knowing your identity and thinking about generational impact.
That's a fascinating interpretation of dominion, and this flows directly into the cultural mandate and stewardship idea from Genesis 1.28. Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion. How does that ancient mandate translate into a modern-day assignment for creators, ensuring our gifts are used for God's purposes?
Yeah, it translates into essentially a divine assignment to cultivate, innovate, and steward creation through our creative gifts.
Steward, like taking care of something valuable.
Exactly. It means ensuring our creations are used to build systems of life, to honor the dignity of others, and to spread truth rather than manipulation. It's about being responsible, custodians of our talents, yes, but also of the cultural impact they generate.
Responsible custodians, I like that. Building on this idea of aligning our systems with a higher purpose, the author stresses that at the heart of all truly impactful creativity is something profoundly human, our relationships.
Yes, absolutely central.
Which brings us to Principle 3, relationship literacy in artistic expression. How is art, at its heart, relational communication? Why is that so critical?
Well, art truly is a bridge, isn't it? Between the inner world of the creator and the inner world of the audience.
Yeah.
It often serves as a kind of spiritual transaction that transcends just surface-level interaction.
Spiritual transaction.
Yeah, and this is why art can be such powerful common ground, especially in fractured societies. It humanizes strangers, it dignifies the unseen, it allows empathy to flourish where maybe conversation fails.
That makes sense. And how does this relate to preventing toxic cultures within creative spaces? That's a huge issue.
It's critical there, too. The Relationship Literacy Program, or RLP, which Brian C. Alston developed, offers principles for proactive, healthy dynamics in teams.
Okay, what does RLP involve?
It starts with self-awareness for creators understanding their own patterns, triggers, strengths. Then it addresses the dynamics of power, emphasizing that true authority is really about service, not control.
Service leadership.
Right. RLP also promotes establishing clear boundaries and having actual conflict resolution training, seeing disagreements not as disasters, but as opportunities for deeper understanding and growth.
That sounds much healthier.
Definitely. And ultimately, it emphasizes inclusion and actively protecting the emotional and mental health of everyone involved as just integral to a healthy and ultimately more creative culture.
That's a powerful framework for healthy collaboration. So, how does emotional intelligence, EQ, factor into all this, especially when crafting stories and exploring identity in our narratives?
Oh, great question. EQ is vital. It allows artists to craft narratives that resonate deeply, that transcend cliches, and that might actually spark transformation in the audience. All while consciously avoiding manipulation. High EQ helps storytellers explore identity with nuance and sensitivity, portraying diverse characters not as caricatures or stereotypes, but as dignified protagonists with real depth and genuine agency.
Nuance and sensitivity seem key there.
They are, and this all culminates in the importance of building ethical teams and collaborative projects.
We're at the practical application.
Yeah, this foundation requires shared values, genuine trust, clear communication, diversity, accountability, and also celebration, acknowledging the wins together.
That makes sense. So this raises an important question then. How do these foundational principles actually translate into real-world creative projects we can see today?
Right, bridging theory and practice.
Well, we've already touched on The Chosen as a fantastic example.
Right.
How does it specifically embody these principles in action beyond just its crowdfunding success, which was huge?
Yeah, The Chosen is a perfect case study, really. It's decentralized production, crowdfunded by tens of thousands of supporters, fostered incredible creative freedom, and ethical collaboration, too.
How so? Ethical collaboration?
Well, the creators weren't beholden to the traditional studio pressures, which allowed them to prioritize storytelling integrity and character depth over, say, sensationalism.
They had more freedom.
Exactly. They focused on relational literacy within their team and with their audience, actually listening to feedback, building a global community around the show. It demonstrates that you really can achieve both biblical soundness, if that's the goal, and high artistic excellence.
So creating world-changing media that aligns with these kingdom principles.
Precisely. And we're seeing these principles applied in other, maybe unexpected places too, like indie game developers prioritizing player well-being over addiction-driven mechanics.
Oh, interesting.
Or documentary filmmakers building entire crews around shared values of justice and inclusion before they even start filming. It proves that this isn't just theory locked away in a book. It's a blueprint for real-world impact.
It's happening now.
It is.
Okay, so to kind of recap where we've been, moving beyond scarcity and exploitation in arts and entertainment means truly embracing an abundance mindset, one rooted in what the author calls kingdom principles, characterized by ethical leadership and relational integrity.
Well put.
It's about seeing creativity not just as a job or a hobby, but perhaps as a divine assignment, a stewardship.
Exactly. And this leaves us with a final, maybe provocative thought for you, the listener. What stands out to you about how creativity is being used today, good or bad? As a creator yourself, or maybe just as a consumer or a supporter of the arts, consider how you can apply these principles we've talked about. This idea of abundance over scarcity, purpose over virality, relational integrity over exploitation. How can you apply that to redefine success in the arts, even in your own small way?
That's a challenge.
It is. And think about this. If creativity truly reflects the very image of God, as Genesis suggests, how can we collectively work to restore the arts to their rightful place as truly powerful instruments of hope, justice, and renewal in our world?